Welcome to the Psychology and Physical Training channel. Have you ever wondered why we form certain impressions about people, even before getting to know them? This is a question that lies at the heart of person perception. You see, person perception is a fundamental aspect of social psychology. It's the process by which we form impressions of others, often based on minimal information. Now let's consider impression formation. This is the sequence of steps that our minds go through when we meet someone for the first time. It's the mental sketch we draw of them, based on their physical appearance, behavior, and other noticeable characteristics. Then we have trait centrality. This refers to the importance we assign to specific attributes of a person. Some traits, like honesty or kindness, can greatly influence our overall impression of someone. Understanding these concepts can help us better navigate our social world and reveal why we think and behave the way we do. So, are you ready? Let's dive deeper into person perception and its complexities. Person perception's impression formation. Impression formation is a significant part of person perception. But what exactly is it? When we meet someone for the first time, our brains are hard at work. We're quickly gathering information, making judgments, and forming an impression. This process is known as impression formation. It's like painting a mental picture of someone, using the colors of their personality traits, behaviors, and appearances. Let's imagine you're meeting someone at a party. The person is wearing a vibrant outfit, laughing loudly, and telling animated stories. You might form the impression that this person is outgoing, lively, and enjoys being the center of attention. This mental snapshot is your impression of them. Impression formation isn't just about one-time encounters either. It continues to evolve as we gather more information about a person. Using our partygoer example, if you later see this person comforting a friend in a quiet corner, your impression might shift. You might add compassionate or empathetic to your mental picture. But there's another crucial element at play here: first impressions. Ever heard the saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression? That's because first impressions carry significant weight. When we meet someone for the first time, we form an initial impression in a matter of seconds. This first impression acts like a filter through which we see all their subsequent behaviors. If your first impression of the partygoer was that they were loud and attention-seeking, you might interpret their comforting of a friend as a ploy for more attention. This shows how first impressions can sometimes lead us to misinterpret behaviors. But it's essential to remember that first impressions, while influential, aren't always accurate. We're complex beings, and a single snapshot can't capture the full richness of our personalities. It's always worth taking the time to gather more information and let our impressions evolve. First impressions can have a lasting effect, but how much? Let's explore. Effect of first impressions and stereotypes. How powerful are first impressions? And how do stereotypes factor into person perception? The impact of first impressions is often described as surprisingly potent. They are like mental snapshots we take when we meet someone for the first time. These impressions can be influenced by a variety of factors, such as physical appearance, mannerisms, or the person's general demeanor. While it's not entirely fair, we tend to make quick judgments based on these initial observations. Consider this. You're meeting someone for the first time. Within a blink of an eye, you've already formed an impression. This impression, whether positive or negative, will likely guide your interactions with this person moving forward. It's a phenomenon psychologists refer to as the halo effect, where our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about their character. Now let's switch gears and talk about stereotypes. Stereotypes are generalized beliefs we have about specific groups of people. They're like mental shortcuts that allow us to process information quickly. However, these shortcuts can sometimes lead us astray, causing us to make inaccurate assumptions about individuals based on the group they're perceived to belong to. For instance, if we meet someone from a country or culture different from ours, we might unconsciously apply certain stereotypes associated with their group. This can significantly affect how we perceive and interact with them, often leading to biased judgments. The interplay between first impressions and stereotypes is complex, with one often reinforcing the other. If our first impression of a person aligns with a stereotype we hold, it can further strengthen that stereotype. On the other hand, if our first impression challenges a stereotype, it could potentially lead to a change in our perception. So, The next time you meet someone, remember to take a moment. Try to set aside any preconceived notions and give the individual a fair chance to reveal who they truly are. Now that we know how first impressions and stereotypes influence our perceptions, let's take a look at object perception. Features and effects of perception. Not only people, but we also perceive objects in our surroundings. But how does this process work? In the realm of psychology, object perception is a fascinating subject. It refers to the process by which our brain interprets the sensory information it receives, forming a coherent, identifiable image. This process is so automatic that we often forget it's happening, yet it's a crucial part of our everyday life, enabling us to navigate through our world, identify objects, and respond appropriately. The features of object perception are intriguing. Our brains have an incredible ability to identify shapes, colors, and distances almost instantaneously. It's a process that is grounded in our ability to separate an object from its background, a concept known as figure ground perception. Our brains instinctively categorize what we see into figures, which are the objects we focus on, and ground, which forms the backdrop. Perception is not a passive process. It's actively shaped by our past experiences, our motivations, and our expectations. Our previous encounters with objects determine how we perceive them now. For instance, if you've burnt your hand on a hot stove in the past, you're likely to perceive a stove as dangerous. This is the effect of experience. Motivation, too, plays a role. Our desires and needs can influence what we pay attention to and how we interpret what we see. If you're thirsty, you're more likely to notice a water bottle in a crowded room. That's the power of motivation. Expectations also have a significant impact. If you expect a book to be boring, you might perceive it as such even before you've opened it. Or if you expect to see a friend at a party, you might mistakenly identify a stranger as your friend from a distance. This is the influence of expectations. Perception is not just about people and objects, it also affects our social interactions. It's a complex, fascinating process that's happening every moment of every day, shaping how we understand and interact with the world around us. So the next time you look at something, remember there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. Social perception and social interaction. How do our perceptions influence our social interactions? Let's find out. Imagine you're at a party and you spot someone across the room. You've never met them before, but based on their appearance, body language, and interactions with others, you form an impression. This is social perception in action, a process where we use available information to make judgments about others. Social perception shapes our social interactions. It's like a lens through which we view people, and it influences how we interpret their actions. For instance, if we perceive someone as friendly, we're more likely to approach them for a chat. On the other hand, if we perceive them as aloof, we might keep our distance. Let's delve deeper. Take the concept of attribution. This is where we assign reasons or causes to people's behavior. Say a friend cancels plans last minute. If we attribute this behavior to them being disorganized, we might feel frustrated. But if we attribute it to them having a bad day, we might feel sympathy instead. Our perception, therefore, directly impacts our social interaction. But it's not just about individuals. Social perception also extends to groups. Stereotypes, for example, are a form of social perception, where we assign traits to groups of people. These can heavily influence our interactions. If we stereotype a group as unfriendly, we might avoid interacting with its members, regardless of their individual characteristics. However, it's crucial to remember that our perceptions can be flawed. They're often based on limited information and are influenced by our own biases and experiences. It's always worth questioning our perceptions and challenging our assumptions. This can lead to more accurate understandings and healthier social interactions. So how does this all tie together? It's simple. Our social world is shaped by our perceptions. They determine who we approach, how we interact, and what we think of others. They even influence how we perceive ourselves in relation to others. Perception plays a key role in our social lives, shaping how we see people, objects, and our social world. To summarize, perception is a complex process that influences our impressions and interactions. We've journeyed through the fascinating realms of person perception, exploring how impressions are formed, the centrality of traits, and the enduring effects of first impressions and stereotypes. Our understanding of others is shaped by these perceptions, guiding our predictions and analyses of their behavior. As we moved on to object perception, we discovered the integral role of experience, motivation, and expectation. These factors color the lens through which we view the world, highlighting certain features and obscuring others. In the realm of social perception, we saw the interplay between our perceptions and our social interactions. Our understanding of the social world is constantly being shaped and reshaped by our interactions within it. So what's the takeaway? Perception is not just about seeing, it's about understanding. Understanding perception helps us navigate our social world more effectively. Keep observing, keep perceiving. And if you like this video, do not forget to subscribe to the Psychology and Physical Training channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.